Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we got plenty in store for you here on this Monday, which hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend. We're going to recap a few of those things that happened not only with basketball for the Razorbacks, but also with baseball for the Razorbacks. We're also going to look ahead to the SEC tournament starting up this week for the Razorback Baseball team. We'll get into best and worst of the weekend, presented by our guy Logan, as well as a little bit of the recap of the weekend in sports with BetSaracen, SEC update according to Rhoback, and your chats and phone calls. If you want to get on the conversation, 478-344-6623 is the number to call in. But fellas, how are we feeling? It is officially March postseason, the best time of year with college basketball starting up this week with conference tournaments. How we feeling about it?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously my favorite time of the year as a basketball guy, but I'm expecting this to be our most viewed show ever. None of you are on Twitter. I mean, RIP. Yes. They put the X on X with Elon Musk, man. It's over with. That thing's been down all day. You're not doom scrolling, so you should be on YouTube. What else are you doing? This should be a lively show. I just pointed out because it's been crazy to me. I thought that my addiction to that app had gone way, way down until I realized I couldn't use it all morning. And I feel naked. I feel uninformed. What's going on?
How many times have y'all opened the app since you came to terms with the fact that it was down? How many times did you open the app again, be like, oh yeah, let me refresh. Oh no, because I agree with you, Curtis. Like I'm like suffering from what's the opposite of information overload? Underload.
Underload.
I'm like panicking. I need information. But no, you're right. It's a great time of year. The weather's pretty good outside, which is always a good tone setter, but it's just a fun time for vibes. It's fun coming off of the Razorback weekend where, for basketball and baseball, they go 4-0 like we demanded that they do. And so, yeah, the vibes are good. This week should just be a fun, relaxing week. We're going to get stressed out because that's just what we do as an Arkansas Razorback fan base. But I actually kind of hope Arkansas loses on Wednesday just to prove everyone wrong that's doing the whole, they got to win. They got to win one more, maybe two. Blah, blah, blah. I hope they lose just to cause the panic. And then they get more rest going in the NCAA tournament. But I'm just ready for the chaos. I'm along for the ride. And this week, there aren't really that many stakes. So it's all good for me.
I said my piece about the moving goalposts for Arkansas basketball and their NCAA tournament hopes on the Pot at the Palace today. And the comments are a cesspool of people who agree and disagree and people who are like, you idiot, they're a lock, they're 100% in, followed immediately by a comment that says, you idiot, they're 8-10 in the SEC. They're not getting in. Therein lies the problem.
Yep. Well, it's kind of like, as people talk about the worst things to hear, like in an argument, a lot of people say, if you just get told you don't know ball, that's going to get people fired up. Or also you're moving the goalpost. That's another way to get people just angry because they're like, no, I'm not moving the goalpost. It's like, no, you are, but that's kind of what it's been. And to your point about Twitter being down or X, whatever, it's like people think it's an obsession of the kids these days that just have to be on their phones all the time. No, honestly, it's just like what you said, Andrew. That's where I get my information. Like it's where I see what's going on in the world, and not having it, I'm like, man, there could be something crazy happening right now in some city. Don't even know it. And like Kanye West could be up dancing naked on the Empire State Building for all I know. I was like, well, maybe, we'll never know. So which wouldn't surprise anybody if that was happening right now. But still, we got more important things to talk about and bigger fish to fry because, as was mentioned, the SEC tournament starts up this week. A 9 seed is what the Razorbacks finished with, just like we all thought a couple of weeks ago that Arkansas would be a 9 seed in the SEC tournament. But just to give everybody an update on that, Wednesday, because this is the first year now where there's 16 SEC teams being a part of the SEC tournament, there's more games. You can't call it Wednesday night sadness anymore. I guess it's just Wednesday sadness. But Arkansas is going to be playing on Wednesday against South Carolina, the 16 seed, at noon. Well, that kind of puts a damper into things. What about Inside Arkansas Live? Well, we're going to do a little bit of a watch party action for Inside Arkansas Live there on Wednesday where we watch the game together. So it'll be a combo of everything, but Arkansas is going to be playing that game. It's going to be on the SEC network. And if Arkansas is to win that game, they will play at noon on Thursday, which will be the same thing that we do. against Ole Miss. And if they're able to win that game, then on Friday, they'll play at noon once again against the number 1 Auburn Tigers. But we'll talk a little bit more about Mississippi State game, but also getting into tournament. But just how do you feel about, I don't want to call it the draw, because it's not even a draw, it's just the way it is. But how do you feel about the pathway for Arkansas in the SEC tournament right now?
I feel like there's no show prep for John starting Wednesday through the rest of the week. That's what I feel. Yeah, honestly, I'm torn, man. I almost feel like part of the reason why the goalposts have moved a little bit, or people were, kind of running it back a little bit with their takes on Arkansas and their resume, is because they wound up getting South Carolina again. Because the truth is, they did already kick your butts. That's not going to happen again. There's a reason why Cal burned that tape, man. But 2, there's only like 2 bad losses you can take in the SEC tournament. Not even bad loss. I mean, they're quad 2s. There are 2 games in the SEC tournament that aren't quad 1 opportunities. And it's whoever drew LSU and Arkansas, who has now drawn South Carolina. So it would almost been worth it for Arkansas to finish with a lower seed, because then I truly do believe a lot of this conversation wouldn't even be happening. People would just be like, oh yeah, whatever. If they lose to Georgia or Oklahoma or whoever they play, it's fine. But I do think it gives people just a little bit of pause that you got South Carolina again, because yes, not even if you lose to them, but if you get blown out by them again, and then there's a couple bid stealers, and then Texas makes a run to the SEC finals, and North Carolina makes a run to the ACC, like all these crazy things happen. Okay, fine. So if you don't want to call an Arkansas a lock for that reason, I get it. But I feel good about the path. I really do. I think it's going to be a completely different ball game when Arkansas plays South Carolina. They will be way more motivated for that game than they otherwise would have had what happened a couple weekends ago not taking place. And I would really like to see them get a shot at Ole Miss again. I think right now, first of all, I thought Arkansas should have won that game when they played in Bud. And I think Arkansas is the better team right now. As we stand, Ole Miss has had the better season. I think Arkansas is playing better basketball right now. I love it. At the same time, I don't want them to go too far, because right now, hint, hint, wink, wink, you only have 7 guys. Do you want them to play 3-4 days in a row before the NCAAs? I don't necessarily want them to.
Yeah, every year going into the SEC baseball tournament, we're always doing that, like the mental gymnastics of how many games do you want them to play? And I think this Arkansas basketball team, obviously very different sport. You're not throwing, you're not using arms, but legs certainly matter here. And I think it would be kind of a fair question to ask. Would you even want Arkansas to play till Saturday or Sunday? I don't know if that would necessarily be the best thing for this team. Maybe from a vibe standpoint, maybe from a getting to throw out one of your returning injury guys out there, maybe that would help. But I actually think there's like a sweet spot here where Arkansas beats South Carolina. They avenge that loss. Maybe you pick up another avenged loss there, and then you kind of bow out in a normal spot. Like, I think there's actually a pretty solid 2-1. Like, that would be the most ideal situation. But really, like I said earlier, like, I really don't feel like there's a ton of stakes. Of course, if Arkansas loses to South Carolina, that would put a sour taste in our mouths. We don't want them to do that. No doubt about that. Even though it would, give us a chance to prove everyone wrong. But I really like what's cool about this, and credit to the work that Arkansas did this past week, going 2-0 against Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. It allows us to kind of just have fun this week, which I feel like is what we need. It's what the fan base needs. And really, it's what this team needs. This team needs to understand, like, hey, you've done the hard work. Now there's a very fun, very laid back environment you're about to walk into, and then you lock in next week. And so it could give this team a good time to kind of mentally recharge, mentally refocus, because playing in these big time games that have a lot of stakes and your tournament resume hangs in the balance, that can wear on you. And so I feel like there's like a mental relaxation that's happening right now with this team. And so it'll be cool to watch them play without that kind of hanging over their head, especially if they knock off South Carolina. If they knock off South Carolina, then you get to go into Thursday at noon and you're just chilling. You're just playing pickup at that point. And so it's going to be fun to see this team kind of get that. And also, I got to be honest, from our perspective, us, John, Curtis, and Andrew, it's very ideal for the games to be at noon. I know the fans probably don't love that. People that have to work and all that don't love that. But for our own selfish interest, I'm certainly not going to be upset about the games being in the middle of our show and us getting to kind of hang out and watch them together. Not to mention baseball's at night on Friday. So it'd be really ideal for Arkansas to play at noon on Friday and then go right into baseball.
Well, another thing I'll throw into this as to why I like the field is the one thing I did not want to have Arkansas be in a position in, and people can call this cowardly or not, but I did not want them to be in a position where they're playing a team that's needing a win, to get into the NCAA tournament. I didn't want them to go up against the Texas or the Oklahomas or whatever in the first round to where they know that they have to win at least one of those games, and that could be one of those games that gets them into the tournament or anything like that, because I don't want anyone else in the tournament. Like, I don't want to give anybody else. And I think Arkansas could win those games even. I'm not saying they wouldn't, but those teams that are borderline right there, I just didn't want to give them an opportunity to feel like, if we beat Arkansas, this gets us into the tournament, and then Arkansas loses, and you just feel like pissed off. You're like, we just gave this team their reason to get into the tournament. I didn't want to be in that. South Carolina is not in the tournament no matter what. And if you win that game, Ole Miss is in the tournament no matter what. So you're good as far as giving anybody else an opportunity to try to take it to that next level. And I agree with you, Andrew. I feel like if Arkansas went 1-1, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be like, oh, this is terrible, this team sucks. It'd be fine. But going 2-1 would be so nice and right where you need to be. It gives you plenty of time, plenty of rest, and you get at least a quality win over an Ole Miss team that's in the tournament. It puts you into that position. And that's how it goes, I guess. It feels like it's been decades since Arkansas played Ole Miss last, but they played them early in the year. And who knows, maybe you get a little bit of that revenge for them as well.
One question I have, though. Arkansas, I don't know if it was Lenardi or if it was someone else that bumped them up to a 10 seed after Saturday. And so Arkansas is kind of hovering on that 10-11 range. Would going 2-1 this week put Arkansas in that 8-9 range? Because I think that actually would be a little bit consequential. Not that it's a big deal. Obviously, if you're in the tournament, you're cool. I like the draw better if Arkansas is a 10 or 11. What say you guys?
It might. To me, it's kind of interesting to look at I don't know if I'd even call it the bubble right now, but the teams slightly ahead of Arkansas and slightly below Arkansas. I just feel like there's some separation that's kind of strange. Like, I look at Arkansas, and if you want to call them a bubble team, I think it's a different conversation than what you're having about Ohio State and North Carolina and Xavier and some of those teams. I just think there's separation with Arkansas. On the other side, if you look at the teams right ahead where the Hogs might be able to pass them and get in that 9 seed range, it's like Baylor, West Virginia, Utah State, and I do think Arkansas could catch them, but I also feel like there's maybe a little bit of separation there too. I kind of feel like they're, barring a catastrophic repeat of what happened against South Carolina last weekend, I almost feel like they're kind of really locked into maybe one of those last 10 seeds or one of those 11 seeds that doesn't go to Dayton. How much would it change? I don't know, man. Another quad one. I mean, my goodness, they beat Ole Miss, they'd have 7 quad 1 wins. And, even the South Carolina game would be another quad 2. They give you 10 wins in the first 2 quadrants, which is what people like to keep bringing up when teams don't have any Q1 wins. You got to go to the next one to make their resume sound good. Feels good to me, man. But I think that they would be in an uphill battle to get into one of those spots, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want them to be in that spot. But it is funny. I know we've made the joke many times, and the joke still remains true of I've never seen a year where Arkansas can lose games, even into bad teams, and people will still find a way to leave them in the tournament. And then when they win games, they still give them reasons of why it's not enough. I mean, it has just been incredible to see the way of, like, they just want to keep them at one little spot. They give them the benefit when they lose, but they don't give them the credit when they win. It's just a weird dynamic that has been going on. And I just wanted to just get into the tournament. That's, I think, what most people want. Just get there and let the chips fall where it may. And, most people have you in right now, but winning a game or 2 would not hurt. It would not hurt you to get your chances in there to the NCAA tournament as far as the SEC tournament goes. And we could kind of use that as part of our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall. We had a lot of fun last Friday going in there and hanging out with them. At least from what I remember, it was a lot of fun. I was a little drugged out at the end of the show, but it was cool to see there and to have so many people come out and see us and to get you a great deal there at Alumni Hall. And we'll be doing another show again there soon. So be sure to check out the website at insidearkansas.com/Alumni Hall. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. If you check that out, you'll see all the great stuff that they have, all the apparel for everybody. And if you use that code HOGSBY20, all caps, folks, HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase, You're not going to get a better deal than that. So check it out today, and you can visit them in store at 3417 North College Avenue. It is Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. All right, guys, I had a screenshot of the latest time I got Twitter to work. So here is the poll question for everybody. How many wins will Arkansas have in the SEC tournament now that it's officially been decided? And 48% of you say one. One win will be how many wins Arkansas has. 34% of you say two. 11% of you say zero. And only 7% say three or more. That's where it's at.
I think I'm in the 1 or 2 range.
I'm there too. I think I'm in the 1. I'm gonna be honest. I'm in the 1.
Probably so.
It'd be hard to complain about 1-1, really.
Yeah.
Really, because I mean, we would immediately have the mental gymnastics of, well, we didn't want this team playing a ton of back-to-backs anyway. You know, they're all good. You do one, obviously, we think you're safe no matter what. You beat South Carolina, you're 1,000% safe. Everyone just shuts the hell up at that point. And then it's just a 50-50 game against Ole Miss. Right? Like, that's pretty much what that is.
Yeah.
And so, you win a 50-50 game, and then you lose a 50-50 game. That just seems fine to me. But I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they beat Ole Miss. I agree with your assessment, Curtis, that Arkansas is playing better basketball right now and should have beaten them even when they were playing bad basketball. And so I certainly wouldn't. It wouldn't hurt my feelings to get that win back. And then I think we would have to start having a conversation of like, how many SEC teams are really playing better basketball than Arkansas?
Yeah, for sure. I think all things equal, I would pick Arkansas on a neutral floor over Ole Miss like 7-8 times out of 10 right now. Them getting the bye matters, especially with Arkansas, short bench and everything, playing on a second day at noon and Ole Miss is fresh. That could be problematic. I recognize that while understanding it's not crazy.
Yeah. John, by the way, I was thinking about this just now. The South Carolina game is a revenge game, not only for the Arkansas Razorbacks who just lost to them, but you and me. I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was the worst piece of content we've produced since we started this whole thing. The me and you watch party of the South Carolina game last year in the SEC tournament where they beat Arkansas and ended their season. We were struggling to make sense of just anything. We were like trying to motivate ourselves and be like, no, this game's cool. This game matters. And we're like, all right, South Carolina's pulling ahead. BJ Mack makes another layup. Yeah, it looks like the season's over. Yeah, we were just running on fumes at that point. It was like 11:30 in the morning. Yeah. We were toast, man. But I feel like it's a revenge game for us this weekend because now Arkansas will get to end South Carolina's season instead.
Yeah, hopefully Cal uses that in his pregame speech. He'll be like, hey, these guys over at Inside Arkansas, we need to do this for them, and not for us, but for them. But that's true because if Arkansas loses this game to South Carolina, man, it's just Lamont Paris is the Arkansas killer. That's what it is, plain and simple. He's the Arkansas killer. You just can't get over the Gamecocks for whatever reason. But yeah,
it's hard to argue, man. It's hard to argue that would be the case. David, South Carolina on a neutral would be a quad 2 game for Arkansas.
I was hoping to be a quad 4 just because I wanted to make fun of South Carolina. I know it's not, but it would have been cool if I could have said that at least.
That's what's man. I'm trying really hard not to get fired up. I was fired up on the Palace this morning.
Get fired up. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina's last place, so it's so easy for everybody to look at that and their record and just be like, oh, God, terrible loss. The way Arkansas played was terrible. The way it happened was terrible. A loss to South Carolina in a vacuum ain't that bad. I mean, they're top 90 in the net rankings, and I mean, that would be considered one of the best wins of the year for, North Carolina or Wake or some of these other teams in the ACC that they're talking about on the bubble. It's weird. And there haven't been that many teams for, like that for Arkansas to feast on, like some of those other leagues. If you look at the Razorbacks right now, they've only got like 5 quadrant 2 games on their resume. And so you're like, where are they all at? What's going on? They're all quad 1s, man. It's insane. Over half the schedule has been quad 1 games, and all the teams in the SEC are so good by that metric, at least, that you don't have those quadrant 2s that would, like some of those other places have. You don't get to play Virginia Tech. You don't get to play Boston College. You don't get to, you know what I mean? Those teams don't exist. So I think when you evaluate it, you also got to consider strength of record, strength of schedule, wins above bubble. Those things are more important to me in Arkansas's case than talking about their quadrant 2 record. I'm not saying anybody's poo-pooing on it in the chat. I just saw someone bring it up. And that's one thing I've heard. The dude was like, well, North Carolina's they're 7-0, 8-0 in quadrant 2 games. Arkansas has 3 quadrant 2 losses. Well, let's talk about those, because the ones for Arkansas, it's like a tournament team in Oklahoma beat them. It's there's levels to this, man. I think people get so caught up in the numbers and the spreadsheets and the Excel pages that they don't actually look at what has happened and what's gone down. And that's my only frustration that I have with the bracket experts that are just way overthinking this.
You know how like sometimes someone will ask a question and you kind of give an answer, and then you maybe you do some research and you look at it and you say, oh, you know what? Actually, like, so if someone said, hey, 3 days ago, if they had said, hey, is Mississippi State one of the best defensive teams in the country? You'd say, yeah, Jan's got it. And then you start looking at it and you're like, oh, actually, no, they're really not. The metrics are actually pretty average. I think that's what's happening here is there's a lot of people speaking out who like think about it in a nutshell and they say, yeah, if Arkansas loses to South Carolina, they'll be in trouble. And then they do 2 seconds of research and you realize, oh, they would have to drop 9 spots. Are they really going to drop 9 spots, losing a Q2 game that they've already lost? Arkansas already lost to South Carolina by 20 and dropped like 5 spots. So we're saying now if they lose again after doing all this work, they're going to drop 9 spots now. Like, I think people that say Arkansas needs a win have just not done any research to realize how much better their resume is than the 7 or 8 teams that are right there beneath them.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll get into some of your chats, folks. And good news is, guys, for the moment, Twitter's back. So just throwing that out there in case you guys need to, go and check on the world. Looks like it's back.
Let us know what we missed, chat.
Yeah. Let us know. But to get to some of your chats, though, shout out to our guy Ghost444. Appreciate the super chat, man.
Yes.
He said, should Arkansas fans root against the Hogs in the SEC tournament at some point? Playing 5 games in 5 days would drain a 7-man lineup. I don't know if rooting against. I think that's a weird way of putting it, but I do. I'm of the belief of like, hey, do what's best for the NCAA tournament. I'm going to trust Cal and trust the coaching staff and everybody to do what's best for that, to make sure your team is as ready as humanly possible for the NCAA tournament.
I always want Arkansas to win, no matter what the circumstances are. I will detach myself emotionally by Thursday, I think is where I'm at for the SEC tournament. If they lose Wednesday, I'll be really, really, really irritated. But beyond that, I'll just kind of be like, all right, well, see you next week.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of right there with you.
Yeah. Let's see. Anna says she came here to YouTube to find this since X isn't working. So
good.
Well, it's working now, but stay here on YouTube. It's a little bit more consistent. So
go ahead and subscribe while you're at it, because I mean, that's how you really get in the cool club.
Yeah, hit that like button and subscribe to us here in Inside Arkansas. Dalton Motorsports says, "Give me 2 wins in a respectable game against Auburn, and I'll be happy." Okay. That'd be 2 revenge games that we never should have lost in the first place. Which I'm down for that.
I'm down for that too.
Yeah. And beat the coach that everyone thought you should have hired at the time. You kind of thought maybe you had, not that I don't think anyone would care about that, but I would. David says, Curtis, what the hell are we going to do about Colin Murray Boyles?
Well, see, that's what I don't know. That's what I don't know, man. You hope Trevin is just as good as he has been the last couple games, to where you neutralize some of that. Because that's the truth of it. I mean, if Colin Murray Boyles and Nick Pringle combine for 60 or whatever on you again, then you're probably going to be in quite a dogfight there. I would just like to think that being able to do it all over again, you do not allow Colin Murray Boyles to outscore you for 33 minutes of a basketball game. I'm not saying he won't be good. I'm not saying it's still not a mismatch problem, but my goodness, man, that was insane. The dude was unreal. I mean, he might wind up being a lottery pick. I personally don't know if he's that good. He's definitely a draftable guy, but he looked like, I mean, Kevin Garnett or something against Arkansas. It was insane, bro.
He reminds me of another, he's a little bit different because he's more of a post player. He reminds me of a different South Carolina player who was a great college player that I knew for a fact had no future in the big leagues, was Sindarius Thornwell. Y'all remember him? He was like a 6'5" power forward, basically, who was just thick, and he can knock down a 3 and all that. I think Colin Murray Boyles, when I see him on draft boards, I'm like, okay, he's a really good college player. Makes sense. But I'm like, what's he going to do in the NBA? Is he going to be posting up Chet Holmgren in the NBA? Like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Right.
Chris Dees also says, I like this comment. He says, Jeff Goodman next year before the Duke game. If Arkansas beats Duke, they should have to win one more to be a lock to make last year's tournament.
I mean, seriously.
Man.
it cracks me up. I mean, I've been going overboard with this bit for the last 48 hours or so. And it still cracks me up every time I do it on Twitter. It's inevitable that like 6 people are like, "Are you high? Put down the ball, Kurtz. You idiot. They're a lock. What are you talking about? Are you drunk?" Like, come on, man. If you're going to comment, like you got to follow the bit, man. You got to understand where I'm at with this. This is unreal. But yeah, I mean, for certain guys, him being one of them, the goalposts, they're just going to continue to move.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty established how much he hates Cal and they hate Cal. That's when it really, you always think about the moment where it really hits that John Calipari's your coach. It really hit, well, obviously seeing him, but then seeing no matter what Arkansas did in the non-conference slate, even if they won, there was the leadoff segment about, they only beat this team by 10. He's like, is there problems? Is there trouble on the horizon for Cal? And like, it's like, man, Mike, it's just very easy going. Like, just chill. But that's been my favorite thing about it.
I gotta give Goodman credit where it's due, though. I did actually when I was roasting him this morning on the pod, but he's a lot of times he's very different on his show than he is on Twitter. Like he really knows how to drum up the engagement and everything. And that's exactly what he was doing with Arkansas, because then once he got into the conversation about him on the Field of 68 After Dark, he took a little bit of a shot and he was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, they played 1/3 of a good season or whatever. So congratulations." But he gave some credit and was like, "No, I mean, they've pretty much played their way in here and everything." But he will take those shots, man, on Twitter because he knows people are going to be all over him. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's see. They got Jose saying, "Is Theo back?" Sorry if you talked about this already.
He's back on campus.
He is. He's wearing a too bright of a red jumpsuit or whatever it was.
As soon as I got up to the restroom before the game, and John texted me from he was still sitting there in the seats, and he was like, "Hey, Thero's back. He's out there." As soon as I walked out of the concourse, onto the to the arena level, that red stood out, man. Just completely different shade from everything else. But no, Theo looks good. And I'm not going to sit here and do the thing that some folks like to do where they're, he had this injury, he had this operation, he did that. Nobody knows, man. Unless you really know, I think it's a dangerous game to play, to speculate like that. I'm not going to do it. But what I will say is I was 6 feet away from that man for 3 hours, and he's moving around better than I am. Walking around fine, no limp, getting up and down stairs fine, getting up and down to the seat fine, up and down cheering on the bench, carrying Billy Richmond off the floor. He looked good to me.
Now, and again, I know you just said don't speculate, Curtis, so I'm going to respond by speculating a little bit.
Naturally,
if he does have a torn meniscus, it's clear he hasn't had a surgery on it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, one that was clearly like just a guy throwing a shot in the dark. But like, if he had like a surgery to repair, which clearly we would have heard about it if he had surgery, but it's like, would he be really walking around, and would we have not heard about that by now if he did have an actual serious needing surgery type of injury, right?
If he had a significant operation, then yeah, he would still be in a brace. He wouldn't be moving around that well, for sure.
Right. And again, like, obviously he hasn't had an operation, but I'm just like thinking, I'm like, the longer this goes out, I'm like, it's crazy how many people ran with that speculation.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'll this is the only thing I'll add to it for the Theo thing. When I saw him carrying or helping carry Billy Richmond and all that, my first thought is, if I'm a big time player that is suffering from a significant injury to where I can't play or whatever, and I know that it's a very sensitive thing to where I'm trying to get to the NBA and I'm trying to make sure I'm good to go and everything, I'm not even going out and lifting a finger to get Billy Richmond up. I'm not saying as any sort of bad thing. I'm just saying I'm not risking my health in any regard. But the fact that he went out there, he was carrying, he's like, it showed me a mentality to where it's kind of like he's good. Not saying he's good to play, 100% ready to go, but it's not anything to where it's like, oh man, hopefully he's good to go and he'll be fine here over the next few months. That stood out to me as a guy who wasn't really overly concerned with his oh man, should I help him up? Should I do something like this? It seemed like he was pretty much in check for that.
And it is also worth noting that there's a lot of room between confirmed out for the year, very serious injury, and perfectly fine. Like there is a lot in there. And so even though, and I'm sure some people are thinking, oh, well, if he's not that bad hurt, then like he should be doing anything and everything to get back on the court. That's probably not the right way to go about it when you're a potential first round pick.
I would just say, keep an eye on this, and we obviously will, but I feel like those availability reports are going to get more and more interesting. I don't know that I expect anything to change for this week. Maybe, but I will be very interested to see what it looks like for March Madness. We'll see. I'm very intrigued by tomorrow's availability report, but maybe more so after Selection Sunday. And I've heard, because I'm sure other people have heard similar things. I see the chat, but it's all over the place. I mean, I've had a couple folks outright tell me, yeah, Thero's going to be back for the NCAA tournament. And then I've had others who I've had no reason not to trust in the past say, yeah, probably not with Thero, but Boogie's going to be back. So again, if people are really trying to figure things out, the truth is that a lot of this is probably still to be determined, but there's at least reason to be encouraged that you might get some reinforcements back here at some point.
Well, and also too, last thing, I promise. I look at it now, and I've tried to look at it this way, and I think I've gotten better at it, hopefully. But I look at it as, hey, if he can play, great. If not, okay. Like, just because there's nothing anyone can say or do or speak, like, we're not going to find out. Like, it's not going to be a public thing where they're going to put out a statement and be like, here's the breakdown of the timeline of what happened with the dude. No, it's not happening. So if he can play, great. If he can't, you got to do what you got to do. Like, that's the only thing. You can only help and prepare for what you got. And if he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
And again, like it's still like, I mean, like Daryl here, I get it. He said, I don't want to do it less than healthy. Well, nobody does. Do you really think that they're going to let him go out there and play with this potential first round draft status and knowing who his agent is? And, oh, we had to do this to get the second opinion and whatever came out of that. If he wasn't fully good to go and cleared, do you really think they'd let him? So I do think if you see Thero, then you should feel very good about him being as close to 100% as any basketball player can be in March. I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Get you. Shout out to Sasha. Appreciate the super chat, Sasha. As always, says great content each and every day. Thanks so much, guys. Hey, thank you, Sasha.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For giving us
good for like every now and then just pop in with a big dog. Like we got a lot of people that are like do the super chats, once a week, once or whatever. She just pops in every now and then with like with a fat one.
Yeah, no, that's legit. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, she pops in with a fat one.
Pops in with a fat one,
I was gonna let it go, but I can't
let it go. Come on, man. But no, we appreciate it, Sasha.
I wanna pull up one more from Daryl, and guys, please listen, still listen to the pod tomorrow because this is why I just recorded it. But another good point here. He says let Brazil eat those minutes. He's talking about a less than healthy Adu. If Thero were to come back and step foot on the court, I would imagine he's going to be very close to 100%. If that happened, I also think you have some things to figure out with Brazil because he's been so valuable. And it really stuck out to me. We all know this, but Cal said it after the game, like Trevin's battle is within himself. It's not the opponent. It's not who they're playing. It's nothing physical. It's right here, man, between the ears. And I think it's so important to have him dialed in. If Adu did come back, I would still start Trevin. I would absolutely start him. And at best, it would be a 50-50 split there for me because I think you want to keep him as locked in as you can because he's different, man. And the way those two guys could complement each other at that position, again, in the hypothetical world where you might have them both, that's a really, really tough cover for any other team because they're so different in their skill sets. But I'm with you. I'd be very disappointed if it was a situation where they just like, all right, yeah, TB, whatever, you're back to your 8 minutes a game, go back into your shell where you have, terrible body language and no confidence or whatever. Just like I would be irritated if, say, Boogie Flan got cleared and rejoined the team. If it was, okay, ball's back in your hands every possession, and DJ, you go off the ball, Nelly, get back in the corner where you belong. I don't think any of those things would happen. If they did, then I would really be on the train with everybody else and questioning Cal's thinking. So
yeah, I agree with that. And especially on the Brazil thing, I'm glad Cal said that because every time Trevin has a bad game, we get flooded with questions. Oh, why was TB bad tonight? Then when he's good, it's like, man, why was TB good tonight? Why doesn't he do this every night? And it's like, dude, it's just whether or not he's in a good mood that day. Sometimes it seems like you just never know kind of what you're getting. And so I agree with your assessment where like you got to make sure you keep that guy happy, engaged, and not saying you need to just like pat his back and tailor everything you do offensively to him. But when he's at his best, it gives Arkansas a little bit like Arkansas is just a more physically imposing team when you have a guy like that playing to his peak ability. And so when you combine that with the possibility of a fresh, healthy Adu Thero coming off the bench like a ball of energy, Arkansas would really start to like put the fear of God in some teams.
Yeah, and we can continue to talk about it because I know there's people in the chat that is discussing. We'll do that as part of your Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. One of the things that I don't know if anybody knew this, but Nate Ament was at the game on Saturday. It was in all the papers. It's apparently a big deal that he was there, and everyone's wanting to know: did they get off campus? Did he get a bag? Is he coming? Is he offered? What's happening here? That seems to be what everyone's mindset is on as far as the latest with Nate Ament.
Well, I mean, I think Arkansas is getting that post-visit high right now, and rightfully so. I mean, it was a very good visit. It was a necessary visit. It was the only school amongst his finalists that he hadn't gone and seen yet, and it turned out to go really, really well, which is kind of what you would expect. Nate himself isn't going to give you much. He's very well coached in this thing. Any interview that he does, he's going to be highly complimentary of all the places that he's gone and stuff. So he's a smart dude. If you listen to him talk, he knows what he's doing. He's kind of a vet when it comes to handling that kind of stuff. But I think there's a reason to be encouraged by Arkansas, maybe making up some of the ground that it need to make up and positioning itself pretty well here. You know that the NIL is going to be where it needs to be for him. You know that it is. We have reason to feel like that's definitely going to be the case based on where he might have had dinner the night before the game, right? So that's all encouraging. I thought that the student section did a good job with the We Want Nate chants. I thought Darius Acuff did a really good job of being there with him and kind of serving as that assist man, the closer from the recruiting standpoint. He spent a lot of time with Ronnie Brewer Jr., which is awesome. I got good vibes from most of everything that I've heard and what went on. Is that going to get him over the finish line in the end? I don't know, but I think the conversation for me at least has shifted from, Arkansas as the wild card, Arkansas is maybe in that tier 1A to Arkansas right there in the thick of it with the top contenders. Here's what I will say though. I was at the airport Sunday morning before 5 a.m. So was Nate. They put that man on the Sunrise Express out of town. I couldn't believe it. I got out of security and I was waiting on my bag and I saw just like a 7 foot tall, big poofy hair back there. And I was like, no way this kid is in the airport. But here's what I'll say. It was before 5 o'clock in the morning. And this is also daylight savings time. So it was even earlier than that. He was talkative. He had big smiles on his face. He didn't look like a kid that was just like, oh man, get me out of here. I still got positive vibes before sunrise. So I feel decent about where Arkansas is at.
Yeah, it's going to be a long potential month before that decision or that announcement gets made. And I'm sure we will fluctuate and go crazy between then. We'll change our minds a ton of times, but you mentioned Darius Acuff. I am putting this recruitment solely on his shoulders. Send those texts, send him a meme about once a week, just send him little things, just kind of keep him engaged, keep him feeling good. Let him know that he's got an ally if he goes to Fayetteville. Even if y'all got to freeze out Malik Thomas, do what you got to do. Make sure he knows that y'all are going to be boys. You've got his back. You're going to be the point guard. We're counting on you to set the table on the floor. We need you to go ahead and start dishing out those assists right now. And for the next month, I need him and Nate Ament to become buddy.
Yeah. I want that too. They better, because I've just got this confidence that as long as you got the chicken man, hanging out with him, and I know it's not going to be up for a lack of NIL. if he doesn't come to Arkansas, it's not going to be because well, they just couldn't afford him. It's like, oh no, you think Cal's going to go to Johnny T and say, hey man, I need this much money, and Johnny T's going to be like, Cal, come on man, I can't. I could at 1.5, but at 1.7, man, you're breaking my balls over here. Like, no, he's going to give him whatever he needs. So I just don't think that if he goes somewhere else, I don't think it's going to be because Arkansas didn't legitimately have plenty of NIL. It may be because somebody went over the top ridiculous with it and they ends up going somewhere else. But I just don't see that being an issue because I know at the game, seeing them walk around, which by the way, Nate Amon's brother and him are identical twins. I don't know if they actually are, but if maybe you could be so many fun things you could do with the incognito stuff. If he becomes a famous guy, just have him be your stand-in. But seeing Tyson always around, just kind of in behind the scenes. I think it was his maybe Nate Amon's handler who had the blue scarf. I think, I don't know, but whoever, there was a group of people, and Tyson was always around him. So it's got to be a good sign. I'm hopeful for it. So shout out to Davin Grino for the super chat. Just says, love the show. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
We appreciate it.
It's crazy how we got to work on this somehow. But the difference in the conversation, the chat, the compliments versus other things that we get, pending what sport we're talking about,
man,
it cracks me up, man.
Yeah.
We were getting drugged the other day just for bringing up football,
like as if like we just committed the ultimate sin. It's like we do not speak about that. We do not speak about this sport.
They're going 9-3 next year, by the way.
Stop.
Put this on social media. But no, I wish more people would just kind of at least understand, like, everyone always gets so caught up in, is this show a sunshine pumping show or is this a negative Nancy show? Which one is it? Depending on the day, we might be both. Depending on if we talk about both sports, but it's like we just try and like honestly lay it out for whatever sport we're talking about. So it's funny how often we get called one or the other when really it's like, if you give us a fun topic to talk about, we're going to have good things to say. You talk to us about something bad, we're going to have bad things to say. Like, that's just kind of the way it works.
And I only brought it up it is the Arkansas update. So I just want to remind everybody that spring practice starts today.
It does start today.
Lock it in. Lock in.
Spring ball is underway.
Yeah.
A lot of 4 p.m. practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they were doing the mornings last year, which I thought was really cool.
It was nice. I was going to say too, to your point about if we're homers or if we're haters or whatever, when people have asked that, I'll just say, hey, well, tune in tomorrow. You'll find out because it changes every day. I just tune in tomorrow. You never know. But yeah, how about that? Since with the spring practice, man, they've really cut down on a lot of the stuff that media have been able to do before. Sheesh, not surprising. I think I saw the email and what it said was you cannot report on anything said by coaches or players during the practices, and you can't do any sort of reporting on injuries, which I think was kind of already known, even though it's happened before. But yeah, between that and then as far as what content you can do, you cannot do anything with with your back to the field of play. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that they've changed and kind of locked down moving forward. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy that they're cracking down on what people can say about the practices. They say you can't live tweet or live report anything. So if we're there, I can't tweet out, hey, so-and-so just caught a touchdown pass, or got to wait till after the practice to put out anything on that. Very, very, very interesting. I mean, hell, when we used to write those practice reports, what was the stuff that was being said was like 80% of it. I'd be like, hey, they did this drill. This defensive back coach was really working it with so-and-so, and the conversations that go on. Like, I don't know why you would even invite media to come out to practice if you don't want them to talk about what happens at the practice.
Yeah. It's like, don't report stuff
right
when you're here. Don't say anything, but it's fine. It's whatever. People are in basketball mode as it is.
I was going to say, I'm not even going to think about that at all until basketball season's over. And then, now that I think about it, I'll be thinking about the portal after that. So
I will say, I'm going to go out there Saturday, check them out in the stadium.
All right.
I'm going to go take a look at them. 10-10.
Yeah, I'll probably go with you. As long as if the Hogs are out of the SEC tournament or whatever, I'll go.
That was my assumption, of course.
Yeah, I'll probably make an appearance too. We'll probably be there.
Steve, we're back in.
Yeah, see, I'll just what I'll do is I'll just try to like really throw them off and just start guessing during their spring practice. I'm just going to tweet out, be like, even though I'm not there, like, oh man, this throw by Taylon Green does, and they're like, hey, what in the heck? What's going on over there?
Just tweet out today at 4:30.
Yeah,
Taylon Green completing passes at Razorback spring practice.
Looking good, looking sharp for that.
This is changed. The portal had been opening the Monday after Selection Sunday, so it would have been here real soon. They pushed it back a week, so it's after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament that the portal opens up now. So, and the talk's been started.
It's been happening. Yeah. Shout out to Sharkensaw for the super chat real quick. He says, I've low-key been believing that the Vice show combined with Cal being who he is has fueled that Nate Ament recruitment. I don't know.
Well,
about
I'll tell you this. You know what 17, 18-year-old kids are going to do, no matter what the circumstances are? They're going to do whatever they view as the cool thing to do. And I think there's definitely something to that. Obviously, with Cal, I mean, everyone knows who he is and what he represents. But I think like kind of going to play for Cal is still viewed as the cool thing to do. And that's why many high-level players are still making that decision. And I hope that Nate Ament got that kind of vibe while he's in Fayetteville, where he's like, hey, this is fun. This is like, there's a lot of eyes on us. There's a lot of where we might be in a documentary. Like, this is the cool thing to do. And so from that standpoint, I actually agree with Sharkensaw.
Yep. Yeah. And we'll have the best and worst of the weekend at 1:00 today. And folks, it'll be a little different today, as it'll be a lot more fun. We'll say that it'll be a lot more fun. So make sure you're here for 1 p.m. But before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into your SEC update presented by Rhoback. Go to rhoback.com. Use promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your very first purchase with all the athleisure wear that they got going on. But what a weekend, man. What a weekend it was in the SEC. I know I was going to probably use part of it for my best of the weekend, but man, that Alabama-Auburn game was wild. That was so much fun.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, just intense overtime rivalry.
Quinn, where you at?
Big shot. The dude getting ejected again because he likes to throw elbows in the back of people's heads.
He's out of control.
Yeah, dude. Like, it was great. It was a great regular season, one of the better games this season. Alabama got the win with a buzzer beater by Mark Sears, but that was an awesome game. Awesome fun.
Yeah, that was a really, really good one. Everything about that, like Grant Nelson getting people riled up. He had that dunk early, and then you saw Bruce Pearl doing the Crimson Crane thing, and the towels being thrown at everybody after the game. Mark Sears with the dagger. That was an intense game. It was so much more entertaining of a rivalry game than Duke, North Carolina was. I can tell you that right now. It was just crazy to think about. That's just where we're at with college basketball now. But kudos to both teams, man. I mean, they're both, say what you want about, if you like their coaches or their players or whatever, but they're two really good and highly entertaining teams. And it was fun. And Quinn, we're summoning you, man. You all right? Heard that you were getting a little riled up over there for that game. So hope you're hanging in there, man, because your boys lost. I will just point out that I told you they were going to go 2-2 in their last 4, Auburn, and
went 2-2.
Here we are.
Too early. Many are wondering.
Somebody said in the chat that Auburn dropped a 3rd in the AP poll.
Yep, they did.
Is that true?
Yep.
Duke, Bama.
It's Duke. Nope, it's Duke, Houston, Auburn.
Houston tried to lose Saturday too.
Yeah. They did. Yeah. That's them hanging on and winning that game against Baylor keeps Baylor within reach of Arkansas. But that was crazy.
Yeah. So you got Duke, Houston, Auburn, Florida, Alabama with your top 5. St. John's at 6, who also had a close game there over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad I bet on them. But that was close there. Michigan State's number 7. 8 is Tennessee, 9 Texas Tech, and number 10 Clemson. So
number 10 Clemson.
I didn't realize Clemson was climbing like that. That's crazy.
Wow. I think they went 18-2 or something in the ACC, but
and beat Duke, right?
They beat Duke. Yeah.
When they beat Duke, I remember thinking like they were like a bubble team.
Well, I just laugh because I'm like, I know they're good, but it's just seeing Texas Tech and Clemson at 9 and 10. I'm like, wait, what? Oh yeah, you guys are good again. Maryland's at number 11. I'm like, whoa, yeah, Maryland, yeah, totally. They're good, but other SEC teams since the SEC update, Texas A&M's at 14, Kentucky's at 15. Missouri is at 21. And I feel like for the first time this season, Mississippi State dropped out of the top 25. They're not in the 20 to 25 range. So that's all for the SEC. So I guess that's what, six teams in the top 25 now for the SEC. Wow. But for whatever.
Yeah, we were told they're a horrible loss if you lose to them. So
it's true. It's true. But over the weekend, the other games too, nothing really. I mean, there were some good games, but the only real, if you want to call it a surprise, you want to call it whatever, but Kentucky going on the road to beat Missouri 91 to 83 was big.
Good win.
Both finished 21-10, 10-8 in conference play. And that was a good one for Kentucky. So to go on the road against Missouri and get that dub.
Missouri slid, man. They got off to such a hot start. You look up at the end of SEC play, 10-8. You know,
they lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, they lost 3 in a row. Vanderbilt won that game over Missouri, I guess it was, and then everybody was like, "Oh, they're in. No matter what happens, they're good to go." And then they've lost a couple in a row now, and so the league is crazy with the ebbs and flows. It really is. And that's why you have a 4-way tie with an Arkansas spot in the league standings, and then there's not that much separation ahead of them. Because was it Kentucky? Is it Kentucky, Missouri, and Ole Miss?
Yep, 10-8.
Yeah, and then 4 teams at 8 and 10. It's jumbled.
Yep.
Are we at all worried that the SEC is going to be the league? Because I feel like it happens in the NCAA basketball tournament every year where there's one conference that severely underachieves and one that overachieves. And then we go back in hindsight and we're like, well, are we sure the Big Ten's even that good? They went 1-6. Or, are we sure that the Big 12's not the best conference? They went 7-2 or whatever. Are we worried that the SEC may have beat each other up, broken each other down, and then we're all going to stink in the tournament, and then we'll look back and say, well, maybe the SEC was overrated?
I am slightly worried about that. I mean, especially when you have just so many teams that are going to be in. A lot of them are going to lose, right? I mean, well, all of them except one would lose theoretically, but early there's just a chance for us to get out of the first round, and like over half the teams have been knocked out, and it doesn't even have to be that big of an indictment on the SEC, but you still look at the record and people are like, oh, okay. Oh, I see Oklahoma lost to a Mountain West school in the first round, whatever. And that narrative is 1,000% going to be there. I think you're right.
Well, think about how many SEC teams, even good ones, that are kind of like built to be upset. Like A&M. Mm-hmm. If A&M got beat by whoever the hell they played in the tournament, I would not even bat an eye. I think Arkansas, clearly 7-man rotation. Not like they're a certain lock to win a tournament game. Like Mississippi State, they're pretty shaky. They're trending down. Vanderbilt doesn't have that. Like, there's a lot of SEC teams you could kind of talk yourself into getting upset in the NCAA tournament, and that's not even without looking at matchups.
Well, let me ask you guys this real quick. As far as the Wednesday games of South Carolina, Arkansas, Texas, Vanderbilt, LSU, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Georgia, obviously besides Arkansas, South Carolina, is any of those games on the Wednesday slate interest you? Like, give you a little like, I'll check that one out. That'll be a good one.
Wait, name those again.
You got Texas, Vanderbilt, LSU, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Georgia.
Oklahoma, Georgia, maybe, because I'd be interested to see what things look like for Oklahoma if they lose. But that doesn't mean I'm going to sit and watch it from start to finish. I kind of hope Vanderbilt just puts Texas out of their misery. Oklahoma kind of did that over the weekend, but I'm just so tired of hearing about them. But none of them really. I don't know. Do any of those get your juices flowing? I don't really care.
Loses, they're right back out, right? You would think, right?
They would be out of the pot at the Palace bracketology. I'll tell you that. But
I mean, shit, I would hope, dude. You go 6-12 and then get bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the potential second round games? It would obviously Arkansas, Ole Miss. We'll throw that one out. But what about Texas A&M versus a Vanderbilt or a Texas? Or maybe a Missouri versus an LSU, Mississippi State, or a Kentucky versus a Georgia, Oklahoma. Any of those?
Kentucky, Oklahoma rematch would be fun, though.
Yeah.
After what happened in Norman last weekend or whatever with the skirmishes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That could be interesting. I wouldn't watch it, but that could be interesting.
I mean, it's just going to be cool to see some of these teams like a Texas, like an Oklahoma, like a Georgia, or whoever, that kind of is like playing for their tournament lives, and just going to see how some of these teams look their last little push. But as always, I'm going to be cheering for the ultimate heartbreak for all of them.
Yeah, I am too. I guess the only thing that would be, people will probably make a big deal out of like Texas A&M and Texas playing each other again, which I don't care. But Missouri and Mississippi State, just because I feel like they're the two grossest teams of SEC basketball, where I'm like, I don't know what y'all are, and I'm not saying you guys are bad teams, but it's just gross. You're just gross teams. So maybe that from that perspective. But last one, because I know
SEC tournament game ever right there, Mississippi State,
yeah.
Missouri.
Oh gosh,
neither team needs a win or anything. It's just a game that's happening for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Just playing for no reason. It's not going to change the seed for any one of them in the NCAAs. It's just happening.
Yeah, it just exists. Well, and also what's crazy is both teams with Missouri and Mississippi State have lost 4 of their last 5 games. So just throwing that into the mix. Here's a little
I didn't realize Missouri had been. I mean, I know they've been losing, but damn.
Yeah. Well, their last win was they beat South Carolina, and that was their only win in the past 5 games. And then Mississippi State, the only win they've had in the past 5 games was against LSU at home.
So Missouri's lost 4 of 5, and their only win is South Carolina. And Arkansas has won 4 of 5, and their only loss is South Carolina.
That's crazy.
Make it make sense, dude.
That's insane.
So stupid. Yeah, I think that's the only. Like, there's a lot of things that frustrate me, obviously, about this year. But just knowing that, like Arkansas, where you're at, you're the 9 seed. Knowing that Oklahoma's below you, LSU's below you, South Carolina's below you, and those are 3 teams you lost to, is extremely annoying. And that's all it is. It's just annoying.
It is annoying, and it is very Arkansas.
Yep. Yes, it's right on brand, man. So on brand for what they do. But hey, who cares? It's a new season. We're not here to talk about the past. We're here to talk about the future and the direction that this program's going and everything. But conference tournament time, folks, is going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, truly, the SEC tournament will be, maybe for the first time ever, pretty enjoyable to watch when it comes to some of the potential matchups, especially later into the rounds. Yeah.
And, it might not be the the most aesthetically pleasing watches or whatever early, but these Wednesday games now matter for teams with their tournament hopes, like the, Vandy in Texas or whatever. That's an important game. Georgia and Oklahoma, that's a very important game. So at least it means something. Do we have to go away from Wednesday sadness now that there's 4 games and, tournament teams playing on this day? We might have to come up with a different name, unless Arkansas loses on Wednesday, and then we could just stick with it forever. But yeah. Then we know which day to avoid. I know Wednesday night sadness was, and because it was a night too, it was the Wednesday night sadness, not just Wednesday sadness, because now you got games at noon. It just really takes away from all of it. But
I don't know. Wednesday afternoon sadness is something I experience a lot, and so it actually kind of fits for me.
That's fair. Yeah. But again, folks, Arkansas noon on Wednesday. We'll be playing South Carolina in the SEC tournament. We're going to be having an Inside Arkansas live watch along for the SEC tournament game right at noon. So still tune in, still subscribe to Zero Inside Arkansas, still jump in, and we'll all watch the game, and I'm sure be really happy together when we do it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So but I'm expecting the worst, really, but it'll be fun regardless, because at least we know that it's just the SEC tournament and they got bigger fish to fry in the NCAA tournament. That's what needs to happen.
Exactly. So, we're not sweating as much as we would have if they would have lost the game last week. So
no, not at all. Not at all. Twitter's down again, by the way, guys. So
naturally,
it's not going to end.
Somebody went after that, man. He got hacked. Elon, they got you, bro.
Elon said that they got cyber attacked by a massive group or possibly a country with a lot of resources. So,
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, he's like, apparently it's like something that is like using millions, billions of dollars to do this. So I don't know. We could all be under attack. Who knows? Everybody's OnlyFans accounts are going to get produced and promoted and out there for the public. So be sure to delete that, folks. Wasn't the Ashley Madison thing? Wasn't that the whole deal that happened with that?
Oh yeah, I know a lot of marriages that were affected by the Ashley.
Yep. There's a lot of people, even in the Arkansas media, that was impacted by that one.
A lot of youth pastors on that Ashley Madison list.
Oh man, yeah, that was rough. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. But let's go ahead and jump into, of course, the best of the weekend presented by our guy Hogs, Logan. Shout out to him for the awesome time. I know me and Curtis apparently got a lot of TV time with Logan there at the game, right behind the bench. I also got a finger pointed into my chest and yelled at by someone on the Razorback staff, which is great. So that was fun. Really impactful, though. Really a lot of good stuff. And I'm really happy. I'm not happy, but I got to sit in between Curtis and Logan, which was great because Logan's a big old boy. I mean, he's about Curtis's height, at least up there. So I felt like I was the short guy of the group, but at least was in between. So look, it felt natural. It felt balanced.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, man. Good on him. We appreciated that, man. That was an awesome experience to be right down there by the bench like that. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Didn't see much, but we learned a lot.
Yeah. That's and I think that's the best way to put it. We didn't learn a lot, but we saw a lot and got to experience it. So yeah, shout out to him for all of that. We'll do I'll start it off and of course go with Curtis and Andrew, but I did want to put this up there because this is my best. I appreciated it and enjoyed this, and it was so much fun. In fact, I'm going to do it this way too. This corgi race, man, made me very happy. That Bud Walmarina went viral. That a corgi race, whatever. Oh, I like those corgis win, but look at this corgi. Look at that.
There he is.
I love that so much, man. As a dog person myself, like, people may see that's like, oh, it's sad. I was like, no, that's really cool that they allowed him to compete and to get out there.
Gene playing in the background.
What's playing in the background?
He just looked like he was moonwalking a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, but it went viral, and I don't know. I'm a dog. I'm a sucker for dog stuff, and that's good stuff right there. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I wanted to share that out there too for everybody. It was good to see. So that was definitely my best of the weekend. So Curtis, how about you?
Yeah, well, my best of the weekend. It's a big picture thing, but if folks have been paying attention, I've been all over the place recently. Last weekend, we were in St. Louis with the infamous breaking out of the window. I'm clearly not at home right now. So there's that. We're in New York. Me and Michelle have been making our rounds to the family, see the parents, tell some news, and we definitely wanted to share it with everybody else here now. So my best of the weekend is that Michelle and I are very grateful and blessed and excited to announce a new addition come to the family in September.
Woo!
Here you have it. Baby Wilkerson on the way.
Hell yeah.
September 2025. We're so excited. And man, it's been like a long time that we've been keeping the secret here. So it feels good to get it out there for everybody. We're all family here. We had to share it with our people.
Yeah.
Woo! Congrats, Curtis and Michelle. Look at that. The Inside Arkansas group, the crew grows by one. Congrats on the sex, Curtis. That's awesome, man.
Thank
you.
So
are me and John getting like little Uncle John and Uncle Drew like stuff going? Like, are we getting some stuff or what?
Yeah, I mean, y'all are definitely gonna be unked up. So
yeah.
We got you. We'll get you taken care of. We got.
By the way, how did everybody? I saw people congratulating you before we did the announcement. What happened?
Twitter.
I had an X post right as we started to talk about it. So
I was wondering. I was like, dude, did like?
But it's been up and down all day, so I didn't know if it was going to go through or not.
Well, that's what was funny is I'm like, the only reason Twitter came back is because of this announcement.
I tend to think so too. Yeah,
it had to be.
So too.
It had to be.
I've been trying to put together the Twitter post all day today, but it would never. When Twitter was working, it wouldn't let me tag Michelle in it. I'm like, well, that would be mean. And then finally I got to work, so I scheduled it. And then right before we went to the segment was when people in the chat were like, oh, it's down again. And I was like, okay, well,
there goes that.
Man.
Yeah. So we're excited. That's why I'm in New York. We flew out. We left yesterday morning very, very early. Got here, told the in-laws, told Michelle's parents, and made a couple other phone calls to immediate family. And now our biggest family inside Arkansas. How about that?
So her parents, Michelle's parents know now?
Yeah. We told them yesterday.
Just making sure. That's big time stuff, man. I want to give myself credit. Didn't snitch at all.
You did great, man.
Did not snitch. That's a lie. I told Hillary, but I did not snitch, and I was proud. When Curtis told me, and he told me he had something big to tell me. Not only did I not expect it, still like it really wasn't even on my radar. I was thinking like way more doom and gloom. I was like, damn it. On three got him. They're hiring Curtis. So I don't know, just something. Was not expecting him to be with child.
Yeah, man. I want to give a shout out to Joey Swindle. He's one of our loyal listeners at Inside Arkansas, the Pot the Palace. This was like several weeks ago. We had our first of a few appointments, but we were in Fayetteville at the doc. We walked in there, and it's the baby doctor, man. Like, if you're in there, that's why you're there. And I was just thinking, like, oh, whatever, like it's just be a bunch of pregnant women in here. It's fine. No sooner than we sat down, I hear Curtis Wilkerson, like, Inside Arkansas. Oh man, yeah, and just very nice. And was like, oh, love your stuff. Listen to you guys every day, man. You guys are awesome. I was like, oh, thanks so much for the support. And then I saw it click in his head, and he was like, wait. Like, we're at the same place for the same reason. Like, you guys are pregnant. And so we had to kind of do the, just keep it on the hush if you don't mind or whatever. Didn't say a word. Good man, Joey. We appreciate you.
Love that.
Yep. I would have had to threaten him with his life. Honestly, I'd be like, if you say a word, like, then we're going to have some issues. But I'm also really excited to show this and to share this with Curtis that this is officially on order for the local fans. As you will have a onesie for the little tyke that will have the Pot at the Palace official merch involved. Now, this is just special for Curtis, folks, so you better back off, relax. We may look down the road, but we'll have it in assorted of colors and whatnot. But yeah, got a onesie on the way for the kid to support.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys. Thanks. I mean, I see the chat going crazy. That's awesome, man. We really appreciate you guys, and also for like making Michelle feel very much part of the family, which she is. But she really gets a kick out of it. She appreciates kind of being the chat mom and hanging out in there with everybody. So we love you guys. We appreciate it, and we're super excited and nervous and all those things. So
well, I hope Michelle takes as much pride in being the mom as much as she does being the chat mom.
I think she'll know.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's like our guy Hayden just gives a super chat, says diaper fund. Gonna be one hell of a mod.
Yeah. First changes on you, man. Thanks.
Dude, think about how much knowledge this child is about to have. Because I mean, while it's in the oven, I mean, just hearing all these takes about Arkansas's bubble resume, it's gonna come out of the womb and be like, did they get that 7th quad 1 win? What's going on?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Where's Jeff Goodman? I want to find him.
Yeah, come on.
Well, and also the greatest thing about this too, to add into it, was that the amount of people that were having kids in our chat, like we were talking about how it was insane, and it was just funny because I'm like, man, Curtis has got the whole thing going too, where that's happened. So I don't know. Andrew, you're up next, buddy. So I guess we'll expect an announcement here soon.
Whoa.
Relax.
You're on the clock.
Yeah. And that has been crazy. I've been taking notes of, like, oh, Witty, okay, SCT. Yeah, so whenever something's going down, I'm like, what do I do now? Keep them DMs open, boys. I'll be there. And then also excited. I mean, we've seen a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, baby due in August, baby due in September. And I'm like, great. We're all in this together.
Yep.
Curtis, I mean, I don't know if like this is. Do you want to talk about the date, by the way? Or is that a secret?
Well, we're it's September is where we're at, and this is going to be interesting because our anniversary is in September. Michelle's birthday is in September. We'll have a child born in September. Dangerously close the due date to 9/11. Like, I mean, we're trying to avoid that. Okay, like we don't want any bad omens to start things off. So we'll see. We'll love it just the same, right? But yeah, we're going to be right in that range. So about what is that, week 2 or something of the college football season? There might be a minimal, a temporary hiatus. We'll see.
I'm hoping it lands the same, like around y'all's anniversary, because obviously, you got married during week 1 of college football season. I think it should just become a thing where it's like week 1, Curtis is out. Like Curtis is just not here. I think it's his child's birthday. It's his anniversary. He's out every week 1 football season. Do not expect to see Curtis out.
And I was a little bit of a preemie. I came a little bit early, and so did Michelle. So we're kind of wondering about that too. If that happened, then Yeah, maybe
How
that would
big
be
were
the
you as
case.
a baby, Curtis? Do you know?
I was 6 pounds 10 ounces.
Weak. I was 9'1".
Really?
9'1".
Were you on
I was
time or whatever?
I was
This
a
is
plumber.
great. This is great airtime, by the way. But yeah, I was 3 weeks early. 6 pounds 10 ounces. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think I was 8'4". I don't know if that's normal or
That's
not.
that's a solid size.
Yeah. So, but yeah, seriously, it's awesome, and we're happy for you, Curtis, obviously, and you and Michelle. We love you guys, and of course me and Andrew and all of us here at Inside Arkansas. Like it's gonna be fun to go and experience that. Who knows? Maybe you'll do some live streams at 2 a.m. with the other dads, and just be like, hey, I'm up awake, got the baby in here. Let's just talk. Let's talk hogs.
Oh, I mean, no, absolutely. I mean, I see this from Chris. He's like, hey, I expect daily pod to palaces regardless. You've set the expectation. Don't worry. I'll be up. I'll be up.
Yeah. So just let everybody know if Curtis looks like absolute crap, and he looks like he has aged about 10 years in the fall. It has nothing to do with Sam Pittman having another losing football season. It's because
built-in excuse.
because
I don't know if you're taking suggestions or not, Curtis, but I really like this comment from Brad. Name the kid Corliss Wilkerson.
That is electric.
When I read it, it like just rolled off the tongue, like Corliss Wilkerson. Like that sounds good.
Of all the considerations I had going through my brain, and we talked about this quite a bit last night with Michelle's family, I hadn't considered that. We'll see if she goes for it. I mean, that's fantastic. It's going to be the nickname regardless. 34 on the court.
If you
boy or girl could be Corliss.
if you hey, listen, if Arkansas wins a national championship this season in college basketball, you have to name your kid Cal. Just C-A-L, Cal.
Just Cal.
Wilkerson.
Yeah,
I like it.
Cal Wilkerson. I mean, Cal's not a horrible name. This one I don't hate, John Andrew Wilkerson. The only problem is I think it should be Andrew John Wilkerson one, because I mean you got to get the alphabetical going, but also you can call him AJ.
Well, and okay, and that's a big. It's almost more important that the nickname that comes from this is more important than the actual name, and it's something that we're considering here. So
we've got plenty of time to workshop, don't you? We will. By the time that sucker comes out, we will be ready. We will have a great name for that child.
So you're telling me there's a chance, Michelle, with Corliss? Is that?
I love that.
I love it, man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Again, it's great to see. There we go. It's great to see all the support and everything in the chat. Like you got, I mean, the super chats already are coming in. You got Dabbing Rhino says he needs the registry.
Coming soon. Yeah,
that will happen. And also JP Sullivan says, Big Daddy Kurt, congratulations, my dude.
Let's go. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. I would say that I'll be the one turkey strutting around, but that's in a way what Michelle's going to look like in a few months. So, she'll be the one with the turkey strut.
Oh, man.
Big legs, big belly. You know what I'm saying? Just
like, obviously, the most important thing is for the child to be healthy and everything.
Yes.
However, if it ends up being triplets like what Dave Van Orn had to have with his granddaughter, man, Godspeed and prayers, because I don't know how it's going to go.
Listen, based on what we saw on the ultrasound thing, there ain't but one for now.
Good.
You never know.
I'm good with the one. Although if it were triplets, I can assure you would not have a 9/11 baby. There were triplets. That sucker's coming out during fall camp.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, there was that big news, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to go with. So Andrew, top that one for your best of the weekend. See if you can do that.
I'll do my best. You guys know my nephew Carson. I gotta highlight the nephews any chance I get.
Family, man. Yeah,
all the family. We've just cycled through. I've given my oldest sister Robin. It's her 3 kids that are always playing the sports. I've cycled through them all. I've given them all their proper due. But I was planning on just never talking about them again. But then my boy Carson goes out there and just shoves in his outing this past weekend. Faced 10 hitters, struck out 5, no hits, no runs. Wins MVP of his game and his little travel team that he played for. They put a little post together for him. Looks like a Chat GPT post, but credit to him. I mean, dude just out there shoving, left-handed arm. So future like Parker Coyle-esque, assortment coming out, and so it's gonna be good. A little funky lefty, and he's a great kid. I'm happy for him.
Got the mound presence going on. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say we got to continue the tradition of being the huddle for the Anderson or Ellis
Yes.
family there.
Yeah, no highlights to play. Just saw the Facebook post and had to prop them up. Actually, my other best of the weekend though is the Arkansas Razorback baseball team, which crushed. Vahiva Aloy, by the way, SEC Player of the Week, co-player of the week, not full on player of the week, but I think that's twice now in 4 weeks that he's at least shared the honor. So good for him. Arkansas baseball is good, man. Contrary to popular belief, contrary to what they say out there on the internet, Arkansas's got a good, well-rounded squad, man. They're playing really well, and I don't feel like they're just like firing on all cylinders yet. Like they're just kind of whipping ass casually, which I really like. And of course, SEC play starting up this weekend, so things are going to be heating up on the Bombastic Podcast in the middle of all this chaos.
Yeah, and also too, just wait. Arkansas they play Ole Miss this weekend. They're going to win game 1, but game 2 they're going to lose about like 4-3, and they're going to be cooked again. Andrew, it's just they're going to be awful. Everyone's going to be saying that they just can't win the big games. It's just
is Ole Miss better than people thought they would be coming into the year, or not?
100%. They were picked. I think they were picked second or third to last in the SEC. Yeah. I think they've cracked the top 25 here now.
Oh shit,
they're just like old. They're experienced. Their Friday night starter's pretty good. Hunter Elliott. He was a big part of their national championship team in 2022 as a freshman. So they just got like good, old, experienced starters. Pretty top heavy lineup, but it's a very good test. Of course, you're also going to be on the road. Arkansas's first true road series, so it'll be a nice little barometer to see where we're at.
Yeah. Also, too, I was actually going to say something about the Razorback baseball team going on. Oh yeah, tomorrow's game is a night game, and the weather looks perfect. Like this week's weather's going to be great, but the weather's going to be really perfect. So playing an in-state rival, I'm not going to say that. It's an in-state team. They're playing UCA at Baum, so probably be a good crowd out there to get some action there before the weekend. So, and I'm glad it's like Tuesday night, because if they would have had like a Wednesday game at 3 p.m. and then interfering with the SEC tournament, it just would have gotten dicey. So I'm glad they could spread it out for us there for that. Also, we can go ahead. I mean, hate to do worse of the weekend, but there are at least a couple of things to have in there for me, at least. The worst of the weekend for me was just, I get it, and we've talked about it, but it was sad seeing how many Razorback fans were no longer going to have their seats in Bud Walton Arena after this season. And the stories on social media, I know some people may look at that as like, hey, well, that's just the way it goes, or, hey, well, you should have paid more, burr, burr, burr. It's like, well, I get that, but and I get from the U of A's perspective, as much as I'm critical of them, I get it. If somebody's willing to pay you more money for those seats, and it's like you got to do it. I get it, but see how many people were sitting there for the last time when they've had those seats since Bud Walton opened in 1993, and really having great seats since Barnhill and got transferred over. I know my buddy Forrest, a good friend of mine, he had some great seats in his family, and those have been there for. He even had a picture showing his dad or his granddad in those seats in Barnhill back in Eddie Sutton's days. I mean, it was just that incredible to see that long stretch of how many people were there, and see those stories was just sad. And I hate that. I hate that for them. And I wish there was a way that something could be done, something could be changed. And, maybe there is. And I understand the frustrations totally. And I'm on your side in it, but it was just really sad to see, because I can't imagine having something that you've always counted on and always had, just 1 year it's there and 1 year it's not, especially with seats there. So that was to me, that was the worst of the weekend for me, was seeing all those sad stories.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what I had for mine as well. That was sad. I was thinking about the story that Coach Z was telling us before the game, about the folks that had been there for so long, and they got to get bumped up in that 40,000 range to be able to have a chance to even keep the seats that they had, and like all the links that they have gone to. These people that they need to find ways to get that money. It's not, for some, it comes easy, and good on them for that blessing. For others, it doesn't. But some of the sacrifices they've made and the things that they've sold, and, all these different things, just to be able to come up with that, to make that donation just for next year in hopes that they can keep it. And then they're going to have to turn around and do it again the following year to be able to get it. And it's just the Razorbacks, it means something different, man, to a lot of folks around this state. And in some ways you can say that you understand and, know the need for money and the changes in the climate and the atmosphere and everything, but it doesn't take away from how much it sucks to see people who have been so dedicated to the Razorbacks, to that building for so long, and all the money that they spent and all the emotion and the memories and everything to be in this spot now. It is sad, man. And I hate it for all the folks that are in that situation for sure. Especially knowing what it's probably going to start looking like moving forward. It sucks, man.
When NIL and all this stuff started becoming a thing in college sports, our big worry was that it was not going to have that college sports amateur sentimental type of feel to it. And I've always kind of argued that was an overblown narrative a little bit, that like college sports is still going to have that same feel to it. And it does to an extent, but I think, that fear of college sports becoming pro sports, that extends even past the players being paid and the coaches treating it like a business and all that. These athletic departments treat it like a business as well. And by the way, I'm not knocking the athletic departments for that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. It does seem like Arkansas, their athletic department has more bills to pay than every other athletic department, apparently. But and they happen to have the highest price tickets in the SEC. But that's neither here nor there. But I just think back to when I was a kid, and I can vividly, like, I can close my eyes and I can feel and see those moments when I was a kid and when I was first going to games. And obviously I was from Louisiana, so I didn't get to go to games as much. I never had season tickets or anything, but like those moments had such a big impact on just the direction my life took. I mean, I literally created my entire life around Razorback sports. And it started with moments like that. And so there's always going to be that like sentimental part of me that like thinks about people in those situations. And of course, if you had season tickets in the lower bowl, you can probably still get season tickets somewhere else and all that. But it does suck that like those moments and those families that have bonded for decades and generations over stuff like that. It sucks to, think about it from that standpoint. And so we'll see how this thing feels. But it's hard for me to tell people they're wrong when they say that they feel a little bit different about the athletic department. They don't feel that warm, fuzzy feeling anymore. And it sucks to see. And I think the atmosphere is undoubtedly going to suffer because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the only thing too is just like, it goes back to the whole thing we've always talked about: communication and messaging and timing. And it felt like when they announced it, it was timing, but also knowing people can say whatever they want, but the approach of it is truly just been like, hey, you got to do this or you're gone. Well, I can't do that. Well, sorry, we're gone. Like it's very that black and white, because I get business. You got to cut it. It's kind of like in Moneyball. Like when you're cutting a player, you got to just not make it personal, just cut it. But people want to feel like it was at least appreciated for what they did. And I don't know if they really feel that way. So,
right.
Yeah. Also, got to give a shout out also to our guy, Hazelwood, Curtis Michelle, for the diapers. Appreciate the super chat.
Thank you, man. We really appreciate it. And Hazelwood, buddy, I if we didn't have such an early flight, I'm pretty sure I would have been with you for the fights on Saturday, and I would have been insufferable in my my critiques of Alex Pereira's lack of volume.
That was my other worst of the weekend, by the way. Perfect timing with Hazelwood. Yeah, the UFC. I got some bad news to report, John, in the UFC department. The UFC's cash cow. I would say their coolest star right now, Alex Pereira. You've probably even seen him, John. He's the big Brazilian. Does the cool bow and arrow thing. I mean, he's become a star. And the UFC is an issue where you always have the striker versus the grappler, and people obviously don't like the grappling as much as they like the striking. And there's been a bunch of title fights here in the last like 18 months where the boring grappler has won. And weirdly enough, in this fight, there really wasn't even a ton of grappling. It was just a snooze fest of a fight. And the UFC is going to have to start rigging some of these results. They're going to have to go on their full WWE to get some of their biggest stars, their biggest names back in the mix. Because right now, a lot of Russians. Just gotta be honest with you. It's a lot of Russians that are holding belts in the UFC these days.
Yeah, I've always been, a big fan of the grappling in these fights. I've always preferred that over the grabbing or the whatever. Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know, but I assume I'm going to take your word for it that it's not as good as what it was. So
very disappointing outcome, man. Very disappointing.
Yeah, I tell you. I hate those, man. Disappointing outcomes
maybe the
are the
knockout
worst.
of the year, though, so far on the main card, though. I tweeted it out. There was like a spinning wheel kick. Dude just gets absolutely flatline KO'd, face first into the canvas. He busted up his teeth as he got knocked out unconscious and then fell face down. That's good stuff. That's what we like to see.
All right. Well, we'll get to just a few of your chats and clean up here in our final segment of the day, presented by BetSaracen and the BetSaracen app. You can download its #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. Win you some money with all the specials. They already got tournament specials up. Arkansas State is actually playing, and had a great game over the weekend, but have some conference championships, conference tournaments. They got all that going on, baseball, everything. It's the #1 sports betting app. So check it out at BetSaracen on your iPhone or on your Android, or at BetSaracen.com. All right, a few other chats here too. Our guy Witty says, congratulations to you both. Kids are amazing. Give a super chat.
Well, thank you, man. And congratulations to you too. And I'm glad to see the little tykes doing well.
Yeah. And he also wanted to say Witty Wilkerson sounds great together.
I agree.
You're going to have about 18,000 names thrown at you guys.
Witty Wilk.
And then like when you guys come up with the full name, everyone's gonna be like, well, that's disappointing. It's like, because you're not going to take their suggestion. And heaven forbid you do that, but yeah, it's just the way it's going to be. And also, I like this from Scalia. Speaking of, he said, "Can we use Saracen to bet on the baby weight?"
I think so.
We could probably do that.
We'll get that in there.
I'll hit up Carlton and be like, "Hey, man, we got a moneymaker right here. Start taking the bets now for Inside Arkansas on the baby weight." Yeah, see what we can come out with. Yeah, you can parlay it into the weight and height. Like the over under stuff. People could make some money on this.
Yeah,
because that's what it's for. That's what it's for. Jeez, man. I appreciate Jakota. He appreciated the graphic. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you saw the graphic that was made. Thank you. I worked really hard on that. It took me forever. So, but did you guys recognize the instrumental music, the song that was playing in the background by chance?
I don't know. Maybe play it again.
Yeah. Okay. I'll play it. It's because I don't think we'll get demonetized, but if we do, who cares? But it's this right here.
Is it You Gotta Have High Hopes for a Living?
No, it's I Just Had Sex featuring Akon with the Lonely Island. So.
I just had sex.
Yeah. So that's why felt
that's
like
hilarious.
it. I was trying to think of like a good song to fit into it, and it's like I could do like these celebration songs. I'm like, nah, let's just go with the theme. Just keep going with it. So because Chris Dees is even coming in saying, "I'm telling you, Saracen Wilkerson and get sponsorship dollars." Saracen Wilkerson.
I think you should just go Saracen Casino and Resort Wilkerson.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. BetSaracen.com, or whatever. Yeah, just get crazy with it. I like this from Ace. He's like, "We are going to need a lot more info disclosed on the Wilkerson stats before we place any bets."
The entire family tree and their baby weights, and so he can properly set the line. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Few chats here.
That's not a sign that we're in a dystopian society. The betting on the baby, like that's really hardcore stuff.
Yeah, that's normal behavior. That's normal behavior there. Let's see. Also, a few things to that were earlier in the show that I wanted to bring up. This comes from Dalton. It says the last time a conference broke the record for most NCAA tournament teams was a 9 seed won the 16-team conference tournament and then won a natty. Just need one of our guys to turn into prime Kimba. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen personally.
Interesting.
Yeah. No. Was that the Epic Big East championship?
Back when in the been, I guess.
Yeah. There was one that they just went on a run. Yeah. Cardiac Kimba.
He hit a game winner in the Big East championship, right? Or something, or maybe it was in the tournament.
I think that was right. I mean, he hit a few of them, but yeah, he was good that year. I meant to bring this up too, but Chico says, Andrew, please speak on how bad A&M baseball is. Ha ha ha.
So, okay, I hate to say this. I feel like it's been overblown a little bit. I don't know where they're at in the new poll today. They were 14 going into the week, and they lost yesterday. I mean, but they did win a series. Like, I think A&M's still going to be pretty good. Like, I saw some people talking. They were like, "Is A&M like going to be? Are they one of the worst SEC teams?" And I'm like, dude, they're still probably going to make the tournament and like host a regional. If I had to guess, I mean, they might have the best pitcher in the SEC in Ryan Prager, who I believe threw a complete game the other day. They've got maybe the best player in the SEC in Jace Laviolette. Their third baseman going down for the year, that hurts, but like A&M's still going to be good, and Arkansas's got to play them here. And so like I think there's plenty of time for you to dunk on these other programs, but I don't know if I wouldn't be doing the victory lap on A&M just yet. It's still very early, and they seem to have kind of recovered a little bit.
Also, outside state lines. It says, Curtis, who would be a matchup nightmare for Arkansas in the NCAA tournament with where they are currently projected? Who would be the most favorable?
Oh man,
That's a lot.
That's a whole episode of the pod that I'll have to get into. It's hard to say because there's so much difference between the 6 line and the 7 line. I mean, you could be talking about, any team from who plays a style like Missouri does to a team that plays more of the clunker style like an A&M, and it's really hard to say. I saw Arkansas matched up with Marquette in a bracket recently, and I found that to be interesting. I don't know if I would hate that one. I'll tell you what I did see on Lenardi's update was Kansas in a 10-7 matchup. Nothing would make me happier than for Arkansas to see Kansas again. I think that would be a pretty good matchup for the Hogs, especially if they wind up getting a little bit healthier. Yeah, I don't know. I'd really have to pull up the seed list and look and see what the potential matchups there are to think about someone that would be a bad matchup or a matchup nightmare. Anybody who has a Colin Murray Boyles or a Trey Johnson type player, I will call a bad matchup. Yeah. So,
well, I'll throw this out. I'll throw this out for our guy, Mark, which Mark, I'm going to say it every time you chat. Please hit me up on social media so we can talk. I know Twitter's down, but Instagram, you can email me at john@insidearkansas.com. I got to know who you are because we appreciate your support so much. But he says anyone who plays physical would be a bad matchup for Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, they got pushed around by South Carolina in that game. Mississippi State's a physical team, and they put 93 on those boys. So, but then they played a very finesse team in Vanderbilt and put one on them. It seems like they struggle a little bit with those 4 men who are super versatile. Like if a team has an Adu Thero type, Arkansas seems to struggle with that. Even with Thero, like I know Jalen Moore from Oklahoma plays the same position, and he kind of cooked Thero in that game. They were able to avoid Kaluma for the most part, but I think somebody who's got a dude in that spot could be problematic. But yeah, if Z's not hitting threes, then a big, strong, physical center is problematic for Arkansas for sure. But any team that really, really gets on the offensive glass is scary too. We've seen that hurt them, even though Trevin's kind of made up for a lot of that issue for Arkansas here.
Also, too, I was actually gonna. I thought I had it starred, but I didn't. So I saw it. Oh yeah. So just randomly, I saw Trey Biddy actually tweeted out just a little bit of football things. Bryce Stevens moved to defensive back. So
really,
yeah, there's a little update for you. He is still on the team, folks. He's the guy that was like a punt returner extraordinaire for a second, and yeah, he's still on the team, and now he's moved positions. So
I mean, it probably makes sense for his like athletic profile. I mean, because he's like a short, shifty, fast guy. I mean, he's also like a 5th-year senior who is not made waves at wide receiver. I think that kind of makes sense. And Arkansas needs numbers over there. That's like D line and secondary. They are very thin.
Yeah, they need all the help that they can get on that. I just got 2 things real quick, guys. Big 12 in football, speaking of, they have moved 10 of their games to Friday nights this season. What do y'all think about Friday night college football? If SEC changed it to where it was Friday night college football, would you be in favor of it or no?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, I like Friday nights.
Okay. It just piss off all the high school folks down there in Texas. So that's the only thing, but they'll figure it out.
Yeah, they will figure it out. I mean, and look, high school football is still going to be cool, still going to be a big deal, but me personally, it would not affect my life one bit. I can't remember the last time I've been to a high school football game.
True. And finally, just a random story that I just found very entertaining because this is where my sick mind goes. But an Air India flight from Chicago to Delhi had to turn around and make an emergency landing after just 5 hours of flight time because the passengers clogged 11 out of the plane's 12 toilets from pooping in them. So, yeah.
Wow.
Rough thing.
Gosh, that is tough.
Yeah. 4.5 flights, and they clogged 11 of them. And I was like, man, that's got to be a record. And there's only one toilet for over 300 people on flight, which apparently you can't have for that long of a flight. You need more than just one toilet for 300 people. So anyways, just wanted to pass that very intense information along to everybody. So, all right. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
No. I thought I was going to have something before we got off here, but I don't. But no, seriously, thanks to appreciate you guys. John, great work on the graphic, my friend. And thanks so much to everybody in the chat for the well wishes, the kind words and everything. Me and Michelle are super, super excited and grateful and blessed. And we were happy to share with everybody today. We've been looking forward to this moment. So very cool.
Yeah, very happy for y'all. Very happy we got to celebrate that here on the show. We had just a very good vibe on today's show. Maybe it's because we didn't really talk a ton of football, but I vow that I will bring good vibes for the rest of the week of this show. Like I said to start it, like Arkansas basketball's put themselves in a good spot. The baseball team's cooking. Softball team may have choked over the weekend, but it's all good. This is a fun week. We got to enjoy it. If we can't enjoy this week, then we're not going to enjoy anything in this world.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't wait for our watch along on Wednesday for Inside Arkansas Live, and Andrew's gonna be like, guys, I don't have good vibes about this. I feel bad about this.
Will not happen.
Waiting for it to happen, but no, seriously though, yeah, congratulations again to Curtis and Michelle. It's awesome. We love you, and anything that we can do to help. And I know I've never been a father. Andrew, I don't think you've been a father either, so it'll be fun to live vicariously through you, and we can kind of see it real time of how it goes and the ins and outs if we ever become one. But yeah, we're happy for you guys, and I know we have our support and everybody's support there, and can't wait to see the process and how it all comes through, and to see the little tyke when they get here. So it's gonna be great. But that does it for us here at Inside Arkansas Live, folks. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching in. You can also subscribe to all of our podcasts in audio form wherever podcasts are found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. You can follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas as well. Check out our website, insidearkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorback. So for Andrew Ellis as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll